The story about how I came to write it probably began way back in the mid-70s. I had lots of insights at that time. I was kind of in a creative place. And I noticed that I had the urge to start writing down on little scraps of paper some insights and some thoughts and creative kind of stuff that I put together. And I would have like these little notebooks all over the place around the house, and I would write down these little things that would show up. But I particularly found a lot of good information coming in that hypnagogic state between waking and sleeping, or sleeping and waking. When you're in that limbo state, a lot of stuff would just bubble up there at that time. And what I would do is, with my eyes closed, I'd just reach over there and I'd write down a few words or a phrase and then go back to sleep. And then at the end of the day, I'd kind of gather them up. And then I'd go to my computer and be like harvest time, and I'd look at a lot of those. And a lot of those were just, not so much. But some were I considered to be really interesting. So I would flesh those out, and then I would start to make a book or a booklet. And it just kept on accumulating over the days and weeks and months and years. And by the time like 2003 rolled around, I had a stack of these 4x6 cards of this information that had come on through me, or that I'd thought about or been inspired to write. And so I went through each and every one of those and I distilled them. And I threw away probably 85% of them, saying, well, it was pretty good. At least I thought it was back then. Now, not so much. I'm just going to get down to the essence or the quintessence of what I was pointing to and trying to direct others to look at. And so I got it down to just the core, and then I got it down even more, and then I put it all together. And that's how the story of Seeds for the Soul came to be. What I was trying to do was to actually cast a wide net, a net that would include both the practicality of hardcore Western psychology and psychotherapy, along with the softer wisdom of Eastern philosophy. And so that's what really made the book very, very unique, because I was trying to blend both of those and to help and point out that what both of those seemingly different poles were pointing at was really one and the same, but they were coming at it from a different place. So I would weave both of those together. In the doing of that, I kind of looked upon it as being a kind of buffet table. I was and am a state-licensed psychotherapist in California since 1978. So a whole lot of my training had been along that psychotherapeutic modality there that I used. And so I recognized that many of the people that would come to me in a therapeutic way had frequently, maybe 80 to 85% of them, had certain self-defeating beliefs that I wanted to speak to in this book. And the number one self-defeating belief that a whole lot of people would have that would show up in the room was this one. Somehow other people, places, things could make them feel certain things. Other people could make them angry. Other people could hurt their feelings. That they disempowered themselves and said, no, other people are doing this to me, and that I'm feeling victimized by this. And so a whole lot of what I did in therapy initially, when we first started down the therapeutic path, was to encourage them to consider the possibility that they were the true source, that they were responsible. There's no fault, there's no blame, but they were the source, they are the source of their own experience in life. And to own that, and in their courage to own that, that's great power, because the power then comes from, hey, whatever I acknowledge that I'm creating in my life, I also am acknowledging that I can uncreate these things if I don't like them anymore. But if it, is happening to me from the outside, I'm pretty much stuck with it until they, whoever the they would be, start doing something different to, with, or for me. Yeah, we attract those things that we say no to. It's been commonly phrased as whatever you resist in life will persist. It will persist because you are, in a sense, going to war with life. And when you go to war with life, life is a way of turning it around and going to war with you. So the message then in a lot of my therapy and certainly in this book is you have to own it all. You have to own your own dream. You have to own it all, because whatever it is that you're not willing to own owns you. If you're not willing to own your own fear, then fear, in a sense, owns you, or your anger owns you at some point. So you have to, just open your arms even more and just embrace yourself in all of your wonderfulness, as well as with all of your warts, too. But just to love it without condition or qualification whatsoever. Well, one of the great things that's available to everyone is to look at things differently, because when you change how you're looking at things, the things that you're looking at will begin to change. So one of the ways that I encourage people to use these things in the book is to recognize that, hey, there's no such thing as a bad feeling, or even as a good feeling. So don't label feelings as being either good or bad, because if you label them as, oh, I'm having this bad feeling, then you, by association with this so-called bad feeling, become bad in and of yourself through your connection, through your association with them. And people say, well, what should I call them then? I don't like this feeling. Say, fine, call it an uncomfortable feeling. Call these comfortable feelings. But if you separate them into comfortable and uncomfortable, you're going to be a lot more willing to be with them and not to resist them, because nobody wants to be having bad feelings, because then you become a bad person for having these bad feelings. And you can say the same thing about thoughts, too. No such thing as a bad thought, just an uncomfortable thought, or a thought that doesn't help you and doesn't assist you, doesn't support you. So one of the things is to reframe from being bad feelings to uncomfortable feelings. Another possibility is for people to recognize that all of life's situations and events that are coming at them, they're not happening to them at all. They're actually happening for them. That the universe, that consciousness itself is not out to hurt you, it's out to teach you. It's out to point out things that you are currently unconscious about. But its motives are essentially benign, which means it's really trying to align itself with you as long as you say yes to it. So make yes your default position in life. Just say yes to it. You don't have to understand it or figure it out to say yes to, but just embrace it all. The message, I suppose, is to ask yourself better questions. The question that a lot of people unfortunately ask is, why are these things happening to me, and feeling very victimized as a result of it. And flip that over to, how can I use these things? How can I awaken myself to my own divinity? What is the universe trying to teach me? So when you ask yourself better questions, you're going to end up with better answers. I am convinced, after, having read this book, lived with this book for these years, and talked to many people who have had very, very positive experiences of it, and the book is in English, they have written me about how impactful it has been. That there's so much there. The book is so rich in many, many things that would be available to change people, not only psychologically, but spiritually in their own heart of hearts. And so I'm gratified that people have had that kind of reaction. And I hope that some of your viewers now would want to check that out and have that same experience for themselves.